Welcome to Pat's Papers. I'm Pat Kiernan. We go through news headlines from across the country to show you what's in the newspapers. Here's our top story today. The headline in the Washington Post is Rage at AIG Swells. Guards had to be placed outside the company's Connecticut offices after death threats and angry email messages. They needed $170 billion in taxpayer money, and yet they are going ahead with these bonuses for employees who were at the helm. The Post analyzes the furor from a political perspective, saying the young Obama administration is burning political capital to the point that it could derail congressional support for the president's ambitious agenda. The Wall Street Journal notes despite the president's tough talk about pursuing every legal avenue, these payments to AIG employees are already out the door, and rescinding them would involve a costly legal battle. The front page of the New York Daily News says AIG is a PIG. The New York Times says the president and his economic advisors were scrambling to calm a nationwide furor. The Times does point out that Treasury officials have known about these bonus commitments for months. One strategy for dealing with this public outcry is the president's appearance on a late-night talk show, the first sitting president to do so. President Obama will visit The Tonight Show with Jay Leno on Thursday. Columnist Phil Rosenthal in the Chicago Tribune says, "This isn't meet the press, this is a way to bypass the press." They bumped Harry Hatcher from the program. How could they do that? Apparently they thought Obama was a bigger name. The LA Times on this story says these are campaign-style tactics meant to pressure Congress into supporting the president's plan. There was another story in the LA Times that caught my eye. The headline is Bob Dylan's neighbors sing outhouse blues. Neighbors of the singer are troubled by what's been blowing in the wind. He has an outhouse for his security team, and the people downwind aren't happy. From USA Today, when it comes to obtaining electricity, some Americans are taking matters into their own hands. It's a story about the increase in electricity theft. One utility, American Electric Power, has seen a 27% jump in electricity theft compared to a year ago. Also in USA Today, a poll that shows the support for the war in Afghanistan is at an all-time low. Now 42% of Americans say the U.S. made a mistake in sending troops to Afghanistan, up from just 6% in January of 2002. Some interesting health news from the Boston Globe this morning. Researchers have linked diabetes to Alzheimer's disease. The paper says the link will have staggering social implications. Dr. Ralph Nixon of the Alzheimer's Association says diabetics should not worry too much about this because genetics are still the prime risk factor for dementia. The New York Daily News picks up the story about radio host Don Imus. He revealed yesterday that he's suffering from stage 2 prostate cancer. He says he's been taking good care of himself for the past decade and was blindsided by this news. The San Francisco Chronicle has a big feature this morning on a problem more and more adults are suffering from: procrastination. A new study found 25% of American adults have recognized they've got a problem because they put so many things off. Experts are blaming distractions such as Twitter and Facebook. You can scroll down the headline page here at patspapers.com to find the online quiz that will determine your own propensity to procrastinate. Today's bad news story from the newspaper industry comes from Seattle. Hearst did the expected yesterday and stopped the presses on the Seattle Post-Intelligencer. It will become an online-only publication. The paper's rooftop globe is a Seattle landmark, and with a photo of that is the farewell headline this morning: "You've meant the world to us." The rival Seattle Times says the Post-Intelligencer today goes where no newspaper its size has gone before, entirely online. The New York Times has been following the decline of its industry closely. The Seattle story is on the front page there. The Times says the online Post-Intelligencer will resemble a local Huffington Post more than a traditional newspaper, with a news staff of about 20 people rather than the 165 it had. So what's your cooking personality? That's the question in the health section of the New York Times today. 22% of Americans are giving cooks, enthusiastic about cooking, specializing in comfort foods and home-baked goodies. 18% are methodical cooks, relying heavily on recipes. This plays a factor in how healthy the food that you choose to cook is. There's a quiz online so you can find out what kind of cook you are. The Science Times section has a nice feature on the right whale, one of the most endangered species on Earth. Researchers say a modest comeback in the right whale population offers proof that simple conservation steps can have a big impact. The New York Daily News has some time killers for you today. The 5 guilty pleasures on television. Topping the list, Fox's American Idol, with its 23 million viewers every week. The Daily News notes that these reality shows are going strong because they allow people to forget their own problems. It's a new look for Dora the Explorer. Many papers, including the Houston Chronicle, have picked up on the image of the older, cooler Dora. Nickelodeon says it's not going to change Dora's image in the cartoon, but they want the option of a hipper Dora to boost merchandise sales, so she is switching to a baby doll top and leggings with matching necklace and earrings. Some parents have already started a no makeover for Dora petition. How can I not mention this photograph on the front page of the New York Post? Photos of the Yankees' Alex Rodriguez for Details magazine. He's kissing himself in the mirror. The Post headline says, "I love you so much." Finally, the naked hikers. I'm baffled by the appeal of this. First of all, because it's cold when you're walking on snow. A growing number of Swiss hikers have chosen to do so without clothes. Well, except for their backpacks, and that doesn't make a lot of sense to me because the canvas would be rubbing directly on your skin, and that can't be pleasant. The story of the New York Times says last summer the number of nude hikers increased to such an extent that often the hills seemed alive with the sound of everything but the swish of trousers. Legal experts say they have little power to crack down on naked hiking because it is likely protected by the Constitution. Thanks for joining us today for Pat's Papers. I'm Pat Kiernan. You can go to our website, patspapers.com, where you will find links to reach the individual newspapers to read the full text of any story we featured here today.